Explain parent-child hierarchy is one of the important SSAS interview questions. Now let's see. Parent-child hierarchy is nothing but a hierarchy in a normal dimension in which we will have a parent attribute. What is parent attribute here? The parent attribute, when you see here, when you right click and see this attribute usage, it can be either regular, key, or parent. So if you have anything called parent attribute, then we call it as parent-child hierarchy. If you see, everything is regular attributes, whereas this particular one where the icon is little different, this is a parent attribute. So we call this hierarchy, this dimension as parent-child hierarchy dimension, and this particular attribute has parent-child hierarchy. Now, how to identify whether a dimension can be used for creating the parent-child hierarchy? So you can easily identify that by finding this particular self-reference. Parent attribute is nothing but when a table is having a self-reference to the same, then we call the particular column which is referencing to the primary key column of the table as the parent attribute here. For example, if you see here, parent employee key is the one which is referencing to the same table, and the column primary key column that is employee key, and hence we call it as parent attribute, and this table we can identify as suitable one for creating the parent-child hierarchy. Now, I created a dimension. I have not done anything special. I just right-clicked, selected the table, next, and clicked on finish and process the dimension. And by default, when there is any self-reference defined in your data source view, for example, here, if you have a self-reference defined in your data source view, then automatically it will create the parent-child hierarchy for you. And if you go to the browser, you can find the parent-child attribute, okay, parent-child hierarchy, and when you expand it, it will have a self-reference and it will expand and it will show you the different members that are available in different levels of it. So this is called parent-child hierarchy. Now the challenge is when you have a self-reference defined, then you can it will automatically, SSAS will take all the headache and it will create the parent-child hierarchy for you. Let's see what happens when you create a dimension without having the self-reference in the data source view. Here, let me delete it. I've removed the self-reference. Now let me take the same dim employee table. Next, I'm gonna use the same dim employee. Next, I don't want these related tables. Click on next. I selected all the columns. Click on next and finish. As I've removed the self-reference in the data source view, you can see the parent attribute is not created here. What is the column? It's a parent employee key, and you can see nothing has been created here. Now, how can you create it? How can you create parent-child hierarchy? First, let me rename this. I don't like this underscore key blah blah. Parent employee or employees hierarchy. Okay, and now go to the attribute usage and set it as parent. And if you process it, let me process it quickly. Okay, this is done. And now if you see this hierarchy, and it's parent-child hierarchy, you can see the employees hierarchy which I have selected, and you can see the values showing in the hierarchical parent-child, in the hierarchical order. Now, this is pretty easy to create parent-child hierarchy. Just right-click. First thing you have to do is you have to identify the column or the attribute which is having self-reference to the primary key column of the same table, and right-click and set the usage as parent. It will take care. Analysis service will take care of the rest. Now, how to show the name of the employee instead of the IDs? For example, if you see here, it's showing IDs. I can't understand what that ID means. So who is that employee? So how to show the names? If I go first, when I was working on analysis services parent-child hierarchy back in 2005, I tried a lot by changing the name column of the employees hierarchy. For example, I set the name column and to first name. Let's say I set it to first name, and I processed it just by changing the name column of this parent attribute to the first name of the employees. Let me quickly process it. And I expected that it will return the name instead of the keys because I selected the name column as first name. But when I reconnect and when I saw the data, it was the story of 2005. I was getting only the key columns. So what mistake I have done and what you need to do to get the name column here is you have to give the name column first name of the employee as the name column for both the parent attribute as well as the key attribute for which it is self-referencing. So self-referencing to the primary key column of the table means what is the primary key column of this particular dim employee table? It's employee key. So for that attribute, you have to change the name column property to the same attribute whatever you have set for the parent attribute or parent-child hierarchy attribute. Now let me quickly process it, and I hope it's not going to take much time. It's done, and let me go to browser and reconnect. If you see here, now it's showing the names. So what you need to keep in mind when you explain about the parent-child hierarchy is it can be created when you have a self-reference to the table, and it's nothing but a hierarchy or a hierarchy in a normal dimension in which you will have a parent attribute. That's very important to highlight. And how to show the names for the parent hierarchy attribute or parent-child hierarchy. So in that case, you have to answer that you need to change the name column of both the parent attribute as well as the key attribute to the name that you wish to show, or to the attribute name, which values you want to show when you drag and drop this particular hierarchy. Hope you understood this parent-child hierarchy, and you can play with it now. And stay tuned for more and more videos on SSIS, SSAS, and SSRS interview questions. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.